What death do you believe was an assassination? In the late 80s, 25 Marconi scientists linked to defense projects died in mysterious and violent circumstances. Many MPs and journalists were convinced they had been targeted, possibly by the Soviets, but the UK government maintained it was simply a coincidence. There used to be 2 Marconi places where I live, one in Portsmouth, which did satellites, and the other a few miles in the suburbs. During the early 90s I used to go to a Star Trek club. I was a very nerdy kid, in the one in the suburbs. That was the one they built missiles at, and security seemed pretty relaxed for what they did there, especially by today's standards. Definitely something that it doesn't take a leap to believe could have been taken advantage of. UN Secretary-General Dag Hammarskjöld, hands down. Shot down by a Belgian mercenary pilot named Jan van Rissegem. David Kelly, UN weapons inspector and expert on biological warfare. Allegedly killed himself due to stresses of the job, but some very shady theories have become known since then. He was reporting on the presence of WMD in Iraq at the time of the Bush/Blair administration and would have known the truth that there was nothing to back up their claims. The rest is a matter of which government got to him, I guess. A lot of early Indian nuclear scientists. Is there somewhere I can read about this? Or if you can elaborate, I'd really appreciate. Smiley face. Before the 2000, it was pretty well known that USA was against India becoming a nuclear power considering the instability in the region, meanwhile loading Pakistan with latest weapons and wartime support. Of all the wars India has had with Pakistan, USA sent warships in support of Pakistan each of the time. Russia and Israel saved us. When India secretly tested its second nuclear device in Pokhara around 1995 to 2000, USA imposed a trade ban on India. This backfired when big US companies were publicly shamed. NGO urged people to not use Coca-Cola, PepsiCo products, eat in McDonald's, Domino's, or use or buy any American product in general. People working in US started to come back. The sales of many companies were severely hit, and the US government had finally revoked the ban. The relationship was on a shaky ground up until Obama. USA had refused Indian bids to buy military equipment that they have sold to Pakistan. With Trump, situation got a little better, but with Biden administration it is still on shaky ground. King Ludwig II of Bavaria, 1845 to 1886. He commissioned the building of Neuschwanstein Castle, the one they based Disney's Sleeping Beauty castle from, but would have sold the country out from under the Bavarians to keep construction going. All for a private castle. It was more convenient to kill him, finish the castle themselves and get the money back from tours. Ghislaine Maxwell. Oh wait, I'm a bit early for this thread. Sorry. All those poor Russian dissidents that dared to walk near high-rise windows. Yeah, Putin was going to be on the top of my list. It's amazing how many people who speak out against Putin accidentally chew on some polonium, fall out of high-rise windows, or get stabbed in a mugging. There was an old joke about how the guy committed suicide by stabbing himself in the back 17 times. Marilyn Monroe. It's reckoned she was either poisoned or given an overdose to keep her mouth shut about the Kennedy brothers. She was also Jewish, having converted after marrying Arthur Miller, and her ex-husband Joe DiMaggio went against her wishes and arranged her funeral, had her funeral presided over by a minister, not a rabbi as Marilyn had wanted it. Rolling Stone journalist Michael Hastings. He was a war correspondent and investigative reporter who essentially got a US general fired during the Obama administration. Before he died, he told several of his friends that he was being followed by people. Then bam, he dies in a car crash. Coroner said he had drugs in his system and police dismiss any further investigation. Edit, sorry I did glaze over the details. It is true. His own brother said that he had a history with drugs and doesn't think foul play. But maybe the brother didn't connect the dots. We live in a world where government agencies, or anyone with computer skills, can find very intimate details about an individual. They can find their weaknesses, their mistakes, and their secrets. Things that society would shun them for. If these were professional government assassins, then a manic drug user would be low-hanging fruit. Here is my issue with that story. Drugs have a way of discrediting a person and shutting down investigations. A person doing drugs, albeit a manic person doing drugs, is not a guaranteed suicide. And it shouldn't discredit their reputation. It shouldn't stop them from investigating. It is too convenient to wash your hands like that. The other part for me is it was revealed he was being followed. It turned out he was being investigated and followed by the FBI. That is important to know. I think they were intentionally provoking his fear and paranoia with old Soviet KGB tactics. I think they were trying to break him down mentally. Maybe he was being followed that night. Maybe he saw them and crashed trying to lose them. Anyways, that's what I believe. Have a good day. Dr. David Kelly. Even after it was just announced, it was blatantly obvious that his death was actually him being murdered. My high school math teacher. What? They just said death not famous. Seriously though. He was a creep and known to make girls very uncomfortable, and our high school shared land with the middle school, and the cafeteria was one gigantic building split with an accordion wall, and the main offices were shared. But no one could freely roam back and forth, not even faculty without a card. Anyway. After a few minor accusations he was fired, and about a week after he was fired he was found wandering around in the middle school side talking to a few girls, and when asked what he was doing on the property he said he left some things. But as a high school teacher he would never step foot on the middle side. The officer removed him from the grounds, and the school put notices up to not talk to him and tell if we saw him. A few weeks after that some really bad rumors went around, and the older sibling of one of the middle school girls stopped coming to school, so we all knew something happened. Unfortunately the 6th grader refused to file a police report or anything, afraid of the teacher, so the cops had to let him go but kept an eye on him. About a month later the teacher was dead, and that family moved back to Ohio. His death was ruled an accidental overdose, and a bunch of evidence was found in his home, including garments stolen from the school, bathing suits, underwear, sweaters, all kinds of shit. Photos of students and other kids. It was bad. I don't need to continue. Everyone in town assumed that the father of the 2 girls killed him and fled back to Ohio, but no one cared. The cops didn't even call to question them or anything. They just wrote down overdose and called it a day. They said foul play was hard to prove since his house was badly vandalized already. Several broken windows, door kicked in, spray paint, and someone even set his garage and boat on fire. So yeah. I'm pretty sure my creepy ass math teacher was assassinated by the father of his victim. Most of the witnesses of the Dutroux case. For those not knowing who that is, Dutroux operated in child trafficking, pedophilia, and related cases, Belgium. He got into prison, but then got pardoned by the Minister of Justice. And then he did it again, got caught, and some of the minors he kept in his basement starved to death. BC no one found them, and his wife, who participated in his crimes, did not take care. Now the wild part, there were many witnesses. Today, 27 of them did, partly due to strange incidences. One guy disappeared, only a foot was found. One fell in front of a train. Some shot themselves. One had Rohypnol in his aspirator. One had a car accident after asking police for protecting because she got a death threat that she will have a car accident. It is possible that organized crime and parts of the state teamed up to cover. That's one reason why I do not think that Epstein killed himself. And why I think that the narrative pedophilia networks with political actors are just a conspiracy theory hoax is just propaganda. And then there is Rotherham. Dorothy Kilgallen. She knew too much about the Kennedy assassination. Lee Harvey Oswald. He was obviously assassinated, but I don't believe that Jack Ruby did it for the individual reasons that are quoted. Oswald repeatedly claimed, "I'm just a patsy for JFK's assassination, and it was super convenient to have him removed so that he can't repeat that phrase on the big stage during what would have been the most followed trial at the time." This is obviously super conspiracy why, but then again, this whole thread is. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and subscribe if you are interested in more Reddit content. See you in next video.